All right, so we are recording and we are here with Scott today. So Scott, tell everyone a little bit about what it is that you do and the story to how you got there.
Well, I'm blessed to be able to coach, train, speak, and write about all the various things that I've learned over my career and done it. I started out in corporate America like many people do. My dad worked for the same company for 46 years, from the time he was 17 till he was 63. So that's what I saw modeled growing up. So that was the path I started. Although while I was going to college and playing Big Ten football, I started selling life insurance, not necessarily because I wanted to sell life insurance so bad, but I wanted to learn how to talk to people. And that decision, when I graduated, gave me 7 job offers at a time most people were getting none. So ultimately, it gave me choices. And I was able to pick my path, decide what I wanted to do. Uh, Went through a corporate career, and then I know this is a shocker for so many people. Corporate America changed, and I chose not to change with it. Went out as an entrepreneur. Uh, Later on, went out speaking full time, and have done over 3,000 live events in my career. So the rest, as they say, is history.
I love it. So when you say corporate America changed, I feel like we all know that, right? But what is the specific like things that changed that you felt like I this doesn't align with who I am?
Well, so I had grown to the top field position possible in that organization. So I literally opened up a brand new division for the company, started with me, and we had grown to 27 people. We had grown to uh, almost $14 million from nothing in less than 3 years. We had delivered almost 800,000 in extra profit. And I got a call one day that said, we need to take somebody out for headcount. And I said, what does that mean? Well, we've got too many people employed. I said, so we're not looking at the people, we're just looking at pure numbers. And they said, yeah, it's the way it works. And I said, yeah, not here. And they didn't like that answer. And and so they wanted me to do something that I disagreed with. They had every right to ask me. I had every right to say no. I just didn't have every right to say no and still work there. And
Yeah.
and so they said, you have until Friday to get us our head count. And I said, okay, I hear what you're saying. I went, I this is after going up to corporate and getting yelled at for 3 days. And came back, and somebody called me and said, hey, I'm looking for a vice president of sales. I know it's not you because you're building this, incredible competitor of ours. But do you know somebody? And I said, well, who says it's not me? Why don't we have lunch? And that afternoon, I had a new position. Friday, I called and I said, I got your head count. And they said, did you get rid of who they had suggested? And I said, nope, not a chance. It's me. I quit. So I got them their head count. They weren't happy about that either. But you know, the only thing, there are going to come times in your life where you've got to make decisions. The only person you have to look in the mirror is yourself, and your higher power. I work for one guy, and he was above the corporation. So I had to do the right thing from a human standpoint in my eyes, and that's what I did. And it was again, there are times where you make decisions or you have situations come up and they're not easy. And did I do it the right way? Who knows? But I was comfortable in my decision, and quite frankly, saved somebody else's career path.
Yeah. No, that's so true. I love being able to just kind of figure out like what are the actual values that I hold as a person, and then
Right.
what is this company asking me to do? So you took that position, you came in as a vice president somewhere else.
Yes.
So how did that happen? Like, tell us the story of how that played out.
Well, it was funny. Like I said, he didn't necessarily tell me all the truth. He was, again, independent distributor, who kept on um, sabotaging his own business.
Mm,
He would get up, he would take it from about 10 million up to about 15 million. He'd get really uncomfortable, and he would crater it back down to 10 million. And
mm,
he had done this multiple times, and he couldn't understand why it was happening. Uh, Brought me in down at the bottom and wanted me to fix it. Well, pretty much the minute I got there, they lost a line of a product line that was about 35% of their business. Didn't necessarily tell me that either. And so not only had he pulled the whole company back, he then lost a big chunk of their revenue and said, okay, fix this. Well, in 10 months, I actually had us up 38%. We made up what we lost by adding other lines, by doing different things, by changing culture, by doing all that. So again, you take the task at hand and you go like a bat. That's all you can do, right? You got to go put the fixes in place and treat people with respect, honor, and dignity. Weird situation. He had read a book that said at any one time, 16% of your sales force isn't working. And that's so stuck in his head. He had six salespeople at the time. He would fire the lowest person to quota each month. And he couldn't, and then he'd have to hire somebody and fill that spot. But he couldn't figure out why nobody was motivated to sell. They were all scared for their existence. And I said, no matter what, nobody's leaving here for at least 90 days. And more than likely, nobody's leaving here, period, unless you don't accept the culture and what we're doing and things like that. We were able to put those things in. People said, thank you so much for treating us like with respect, honor, and dignity. I said, that's what it's all about. And we created a new culture, and it's amazing. It worked. Novel concept.
So how long did you stay at that company helping build that?
Well, funny, not all that long because I was able to rally all his employee, and because I was able to grow it, he got mad. And because he couldn't do it, he brought me in to do it, and he got mad with that. And ultimately, it was untenable. Probably a little over a year, but I got it fixed. And again, he tried to reenact the things that were cratering, and I said, that's not what you brought me in for. You brought me
Yeah.
in to fix it. I've fixed it. We're not going backwards. He goes, this is my company. We're going to do what I want to do. I said, okay. And
Yeah.
so he started doing that stuff. Somebody came along and said, hey, we've got a project. Well, let's talk about it.
Nice. So then you jumped to another company? Is that what happened after
Well,
that?
no, they just had a project, and they actually wanted me to consult. So that's when I really went into the entrepreneurial side for myself and went more on
Okay.
the consulting side, in instituting the things that I knew to be true that worked. And so,
Perfect. So it sounds like at that time you had worked for a couple different bigger companies, you helped them grow, and you realized, wait a second, the success of the company really is attributed to the owner and how willing they are to actually treat people with respect.
yeah, it's interesting. Most people get into entrepreneurialism. They're either purposeful entrepreneurs or accidental entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Purposeful is they've got something that they want to take to market. Accidental is, holy crud, I just lost whatever I was doing. I better do something to put food on the table.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, many times they don't get into business knowing business. They
Mm.
get into business because they are passionate about their offering, and quite frankly feel everybody else should be as equally passionate,
Mhm.
and can't understand why they're not. Well, they're not, because it's not their offering.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's a pretty simple answer, but believe it or not, it's there's a lot of people that don't accept that well.
Mhm.
And so sometimes you just got to be the bridge between situations and
Mhm.
help them see the light.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then so then you opened up the consulting, and you took, I'm assuming you took him as your first kind of consulting client?
Yeah. And it's interesting because the things that again, I learned from some of the best of the best.
Mhm.
And so it wasn't all my stuff necessarily. It was a lot of my stuff, but it was a lot of assimilation of other things too. And it was the things that worked. And so um, I actually went through a multiple, some would call it a pattern. Anybody who understands patterns would call it a pattern. But I would start consulting to a company. They're saying, this is going so great. You should join us officially. And then I would become their vice president or their executive vice president. We would do what we set out to do, and then I'd exit. And I'd go back consulting again. And then all of a sudden I'd find somebody and we'd have some pretty good success. Yeah, you should probably be our EVP. Okay. And so I'd join them. And so I did that multiple times in my career. Um, Started out as an independent entrepreneur, became part of the company. We exited, go back, wash, rinse, repeat. So it, I've been blessed to do a lot of different things. It's pretty cool, actually.
That is really cool. And so you had mentioned that you learned a lot of these things from other people, right? Which I think is very common. We all go through these cycles of learning and learning and learning, and then we kind of synthesize and put together the best of all the things that we've learned and kind of create like our little method, right?
Right.
So going back to kind of like those, were they mentorships? Was it like things that you had paid yourself into? Kind of what was that learning process like for you?
Well, in the early days, it was more um, paying attention to and absorbing the corporate trainers or the people who were available in that setting. Later in my career, I've written checks to 19 mentors across my career. So if when I was out of that environment where there was a trainer or training offered, I absorbed every bit of that I possibly could. When I got out on my own, then I actually wrote checks to people and learned from the best of the best based on category. Jack Canfield when it came to success, John Childers when it came to speaking professionally, uh, Mike Koval and Freddie Rick when it came to stock market. Just different. I found the best at their class and then became a mentee of them.
And what was that process like to become a mentee of them? Was that just like literally going onto their website and booking a session with them? Or did you have connections that helped you connect with these people?
Well, each one was different. Some was me seeking it out, some was being referred. It was a little bit of everything across time because it wasn't everybody all together at one time. It was, different time frames and sections when I felt like there was a gap that I wanted to fill. Um, but the one thing that was extremely consistent is every time I retained a new mentor, I said the exact same thing to him at the start. Give me everything you got, and my commitment is I won't keep it. I'll share it with my students and clients going forward and ultimately become an extension of you. And to a person, they all said, nobody out of the thousands and thousands and thousands of people we've trained, nobody besides you has ever said that I would become an extension of them, that I wanted to absorb so much. And so with that, my mentor, I know more about my mentors probably than their spouses do in some cases, because we developed that closer relationship because I was very sincere about the fact I'm going to share with my students and clients going forward. So I need the good, the bad, the ugly. I need to know what it's like. And it's amazing. You would think that everyone would do that. And it was a shock to me to find out that nobody had done that. And in fact, one of my mentors came through Dallas one day and he said, "Hey, are you available? I want to buy you dinner." And I said, "Dude, you hadn't bought me anything. That's awesome. I'm in. Let's go to dinner." And he said, I want to ask you some questions." I said, "Cool." So we were a margarita and a half in at Uncle Julio's, and he said, "I really want to ask you a question." I said, "Fire away." He said, "You've been the most successful at implementing what I've taught. You've done more speaking events, you've sold more from stage, you've done all these different things that I suggested you do. And you're easily the most successful student I've had at it. You're the only one who has ever implemented everything that I taught. I've got to know why." And I said, "Okay." I said, "I'll answer your question if you answer two of mine first." He said, "Okay, what are they?" I said, "How many dollars worth of checks did I write to you?" He said a number, and it was just under 6 digits. And I said, "Yeah, that sounds about right." I said, "How many of them did you cash?" He said, "Every one of them." I said, "You now know my answer. Why would I learn from you? Why would I pay you all this money to learn everything you know and then not put it into practice?" He said, "Believe it or not, you're the only one who ever has." And that's the part of, again, today I'm a coach, I'm a mentor, I've gone from student to coach to mentor and along my career. And I share this with my students and I say, you can ask me anything, anytime. It doesn't, you know, I'm working to draw on what I've learned from 19, official sources and a whole lot more than that. And it's never been my desire to keep the information for myself. It has always been to share. I come out of the Zig Ziglar camp. You can have everything in life you want when you help enough other people get what they want. And Zig being a mentor of mine as well. And, you know, it's fascinating to me. And I'm sure you see it in your community. And I've watched you. You make fabulous suggestions. And somebody takes that piece of information and works to evaluate it. Well, I'm not sure that's the way I would do it. And so they do part of it, some of it, every once in a while, all of it, or almost none of it. But then I don't understand why it's not working. Well, because you didn't do it. This, at some point, it's not rocket science. You do what works.
Yes. And as a coach, I feel that fully.
I thought you probably would.
Yes. It's so funny. I forget what the statistic is, but it's like of people, first of all, who actually even buy courses, I think it's like less than 10% even do the course.
Yeah.
And then of people who buy coaching programs, it's something very similar to that as well, that are people that actually go in and do the things that they're supposed to be doing.
Back in the day, one of one of my mentors, I won't say which one, but he had a 10 cassette program, and they had a screw up in the duplication process, and cassette number 7 came blank. Okay. They didn't know it. And you know why they didn't know it? Because nobody got to tape 7 to let them know. And
Wow.
literally he had a lot of units out there, and nobody sent him a message that number 7 was blank. How crazy is that?
That's like the best telling too, that
Oh yeah,
nobody watches it, because if they did, who wouldn't? Like if I got something and I got to all the way to tape 7 and it was blank, I would immediately let them know and be like, I need my tape 7. Why are you not doing this? But the
exactly.
fact that nobody said anything is just like,
Uh,
oh my goodness.
yeah, but
That's so
it's
funny.
a, you know, as a coach, as a mentor,
Mhm.
I'm not in the convincing business.
Yep.
I'm not going to convince anybody. I'm not in the pushing the rope business. And I can't care more about my client or student than they care about themselves. It doesn't work. Now, have I spent periods of my career doing that? Yeah. But that was a lesson I had to learn. I can't care more about you and your business than you care about you and your business. Now, and that's why, and you've heard me say it, if you got want to, you can learn the rest. You can learn the other stuff around. But if you don't want to, eh, no encouragement from anybody is going to get you to do something if you don't want to do it. It's pretty simple.
I agree. I also think it's hard, especially when because most people that are coaches are also compassionate, right? Like I
Yeah.
feel like that's part of just being a coach. You want to help other people. So when you're trying to give people the resources that they need in order to help themselves and then they don't take it, it is so difficult. And it's funny because a lot of my clients are coaches as well. And so we like almost connect on that sometimes in our calls. And
Yeah.
it's like, look, you got to just like, you can only tell them so much, you know?
Well, it is.
Yeah.
It's absolutely. It's almost mind numbing when you think about it. And that's um, somebody in one of the groups that I'm in posted today and said, "What do you do in 3 words?" And everybody was, you could just see how tactical they
Yep.
were with the 3 words, right? And I went, "I help people."
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
Yes. I love that too. Hermosi's famous for saying it, just simplifying everything. It's like the
Yeah,
more simple something can become, the stronger it is too. So it's like, I see those things all the time. Say what you do in 3 words or whatever, and everyone's like really strategically trying to sell
yeah,
what they're doing. But it's like I help them make more money, right? Like it's like just pretty bare bones. And
yeah. We can get into greater depth if you'd like, but that's
yeah.
the well, and it's one of the things that I teach. People talk about their elevator presentation. I'm
Hmm.
not going to use the other word. Baseball players pitch. I
Yeah.
present. I'm a professional. Uh, but in their elevator presentations, and somebody said, "Well, what's yours?" And I said, "Well, it depends on where it is, kind of. But the short answer is, I help people help people." And and they said, "Well, how do you do that?" "Very well, thank you." And that's all done purposely for a couple of reasons. Number one, we've lost the art of creating curiosity.
Mm,
Everybody wants to show up and throw up. It's like, oh, I do this. Oh, and I'm a part-time this. And on the side I do. And when I'm not with my kids, it's like, chill.
yeah.
You lost me at hello.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. No, it's right. It's like that curiosity gap, right? It's how can we create enough
Yeah.
curiosity that people are actually interested in us? Because if we just like vomit all over them about what we do, like they're not going to care. It's like, get away from me. I got to clean myself off now.
It is so ridiculous. People, they're well intentioned. It's not the intention side, it's the skill set side. They don't know what to say or why to say it. And so they do what they saw somebody one time on TikTok do this, and oh my God, that's what I'm going to do. It's like, no, don't do that.
Do you feel like it's a lack of skills or a lack of the appropriate mindset?
Well, it could be one or the other, or a combination of both. I've been doing this for a long time. I know I look 29, but I've been doing this for a long time. And I learn every day at this point with a lot of years of experience behind me. Why? Because in order to be successful, my opinion is you need to be a passionate learner that continues. I know you'll find this hard to believe. Things change, and they change really quickly in this day and age. And so if you're not, I think it's hilarious. I was on a call last night with somebody, and he said, well, I'm an AI expert. And I looked at him and I went, dude, that is so not what you have done for, I get you can learn things, and I get, but to shift, in his case, 40 years of other expertise and proclaim I'm an expert in this. Might he have knowledge? He absolutely has knowledge. Is he pretty good at it? Yes. Why are you going into that lion den? Why? Everybody's jumped on the AI bandwagon. Well, I've got AI. Well, so do I. Guess what? I built Scott GPT 2 years ago. You can go to scottschilling.ai. Oh, by the way, yes, I have the AI suffix. And you can ask my virtual brain anything. Okay, there, I've done it. Yes. Do you use it? Yes. Do you adapt to it? Yes. But I mean, my goodness, to take everything you've done in your career and minimize it and say, well, I'm the top of this game now. Whew, that's pretty dramatic.
Yeah. And I also feel like just that term expert, so many people now are, oh, how do I stand out? Well, I'm going to term myself an expert. I feel like that's the mindset that people going into it. Like, how can I make myself stand out from all the other AI people? So I'm going to call myself an expert, but then everybody's calling themselves an AI expert. So you just end up in the slop with them,
Well, and that's what it really becomes. It becomes slop. Again, for me, it's not, there's 8.5 billion people on the planet. There's plenty of prospects. We don't need to create any more prospects. There's plenty. And I'm pretty sure those prospects have figured out how to make more prospects. I don't think we have to do that, right? I think what we need to do is represent the results that we deliver and let the people who need those results and want those results find us. Yes, we need to promote. We need to, market that we do these things and whatever, and figure out what you design what your life wants to be. I realized as a coach one day, I went, and I teach this all the time. You've heard me say it. If you build it, they will come. Only works if they know you built it, right? And I think there was a period of time where people thought I was so busy. And I am busy, but that I was so busy, I couldn't possibly take any more coaching clients. And all of a sudden, one day in one meeting, I said, I've got 5 coaching spots available. If you want to learn more, reach out. Well, those were gone pretty quick. And why? Because I actually told them I had some capacity. I have capacity for a couple more right now, right? I don't have 5, but I have room for a couple. But the point is that you simply got to tell people, what your offer is, how you can serve them, what results they will get by engaging you, and then go from there. That doesn't matter whether it's a product, good, or service. The way you present things is all the same. At least it is if you work with me. The challenge is most people never take the time to understand how to present their offers. They're well-meaning, they're well-intentioned, they are more than likely pretty darn good at what they do. They just don't know how to present it, and that's a shame. So that's what I help people with.
So now let's go a little deeper into that. So how would somebody present their offer? And I did want to also touch on, because you had mentioned kind of like that illusion scarcity, that a lot of people like this illusion of scarcity that everyone thinks, oh, I have to like stand out in all these crazy ways to get clients, when, like you mentioned, there's how many billions of people on the planet. There's no shortage of clients that you can get, right? So this idea of competition is almost null and void these days,
Yeah.
right? And then I also wanted to kind of comment too on, people are talking about like the niche economy, how the sales economy is really changing into like hyper nicheism, right? Because there is such a crazy abundance of people that the people that are actually being the most successful are the ones that are hyper niching down in such a specific way that they're targeting the people that are actually attracted to them the most, right?
Yeah.
So instead of trying to appeal to everybody, you appeal to a very smaller amount of group. But because you're doing that, you're standing out from everyone, and therefore you're actually getting the clients. So I'd like to kind of touch on a little bit of all of that. I know it's of quite a few different topics, but
okay, in the next 6 hours, we will cover all this.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting. One of my coaching clients this week, we were talking about something, and they started out with, I'm going to share something with you that's totally unbelievable. And then they went on to share something, and I just sat there and listened. And they said, so what do you think? And I went, you want to know where things shut down? In your 2-minute description, you want to know where things shut down? And they said, yeah. I said, in the third word of it all. What did I say? This is unbelievable. So you're going to tell me about your product, but it's totally unbelievable. Guess what? That's a command statement telling the person not to believe you. You said it in the third word. No clue it was even said. Well, how would you change it? I'm going to tell you something amazing. It's also a command statement. It's where we go. And so that's I was blessed to be trained to hear single words, phrases, concepts that either enhance your presentation or crush it. And again, I'll tell you, the vast majority of people have no idea how they kneecap their own presentations. I mean, they think they're doing I just did, that was the best presentation. Oh my God, that was so good. I hit everything. It was great. Yeah, no, not at all. So we went down this path on languaging very quickly. It's not where the coaching call started, but it's what happened. When I work with people, I'm not going to let that pass. I'll stop it down, and because that's a lifetime correction. That's one of those corrections that once you do it, you never do it again. People say, well, there's guys on stage throwing F-bombs left and right. I've never seen you. In fact, I've never heard you swear. Yeah, you're right. Why? I don't think it adds. I think it detracts. And I'm not going to put anything in any presentation that detracts. It doesn't make sense to me. Well, but they do. I don't care what they do. I think what they're doing is offensive. I think it certainly shuts off part of their potential buying market. Why, if you can identify something that could shut things down, why would you do it? Because they're cool? Because everybody goes, oh, his language is so amazing. No, his language isn't very good at all. Again, the quality of your presentation, the quality of your communication, the quality of your language dictates the quality of your life, in my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. If you agree, hey, let's talk further. If you don't, cool. There's lots of coaches. There's lots of other people out there. So again, to go on one of your 47-point questions there, there's I think it's interesting that you say that. I haven't really thought of it that way, but I think that's probably what I'm doing right now is super niching is coming down and saying, I don't need, it's not that I don't want to. I don't need to work with everybody. I want to work with people who want to make a difference on the planet. I want to align with my clients. If they've got a desire to return respect, honor, and dignity to the planet, if they've got a desire to do great things for great reasons, if they want to live a more fulfilled life, we're on a path. It kind of, I coach intuitively. So what just bubbled up when I said that is my life purpose statement is to inspire and empower others to serve humanity through living their life's purpose in spirit, love, and joy. A life purpose statement is the filter by which you make decisions. It's a filter by which I accept clients, to inspire and empower others to live their life's purpose. So I'm on purpose when I help people be on purpose. But if their purpose is to hurt people, I'm not going to tell them how to communicate the message better. That's not going to happen because it's not consistent with my purpose. So I think that that's a big part in what you realize, or at least what I've realized. My take on this, there's so much noise in the marketplace and everybody's an expert. I love it when somebody says, well, I coach speakers. How many talks have you done? Well, I don't get on stage. I just teach them how to get on stage, or I just teach them what to say on stage. Yeah, no. I've done 3,000 live events in my career. I've had over probably 1 million people sitting in chairs in front of me. You learn differently when you have that. Again, I'm not the only person who's done it. I'm not the only person you can learn from. Not trying to suggest that. What I'm trying to say, that would be like saying, hey, let me give you some mothering advice. I mean, I have 2 kids, so I can teach you how to be a mother. No. I can teach you how to be a father, but I can't teach you how to be a mother. There's a difference, right? And so that's, I think, for me, I want people who are serious about wanting to make the planet a better place, have more empathy, have more compassion, be more human, treat people with respect, honor, and dignity. If you're looking for somebody that's going to help guide you on that path, I'm your guy. If you want somebody that's just going to say crash and burn, the only reason I'm in it is to make money, uber alles, no. Now, will I help you make a lot of money? Not a doubt about it. Will I do it in exception to the other things? Not a chance. There's a right way and a less than right way. And my guidance comes from working to do things the right way. I just think it's a better way. And somebody says, well, yeah, but you could do, I understand what you can do. It's like somebody says, you know, you keep on talking about integrity in your presentation from stage. I go, yeah, it's important. It's number one. That's where integrity comes from. Integer, one, wholeness. That's where the word comes from. Yeah. Well, but you could sell more and hurt people. You can do a lot of things and hurt and accomplish a lot. Then find the person who does that. That's not me. It's not going to happen that way. We're going to do things the right way for the right reasons. And ultimately, I think in this day and age, that actually becomes a niche in its own way, right? Because you want to do things with integrity, because you want to treat people with respect, that becomes a niche that cuts through the noise. Be less. I love 22-year-old life coaches. Kind of like jumbo shrimp, isn't it? I mean, you could be a 22-year-old teen coach. You've experienced it. I don't think you're a life coach. Again, not being judgmental, kind of observing and using some common sense. So anyway, I'll let you ask one of the other 47 parts.
No. You know what? I feel like we encompassed most of the questions, so we're good there.
That's good.
No, I was going to ask next. You had mentioned and kind of alluded to, your faith and the integrity side and how that's really a huge piece of what you do and why you do it. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit more about your faith, kind of how that's been there along your whole journey, and how you kind of build your business alongside your faith as well.
Well, somebody asked me one time, I came off stage and I said, any question, you can fire anything at me. And this woman, she goes, how do you have the courage to lead with your faith? And I said, that's a really simple answer. I'm allergic to lightning. And she goes, what does that mean? And I said, I've already lived through one near-death experience. I don't need another one. And I only work for one guy, ultimately. I do not believe it is my job to get you to believe what I believe. I do believe that it is my job to be a living example of what I believe. And if you like what you see, we'll talk about it anytime you want. And so I'm a Christian and believe in God and believe in Jesus. And, Jesus was the greatest sales guy on the planet. I mean, look, he created thousands of followers before anybody was an influencer, right? I mean, if you want to see how to do this, be a living example of whatever your offering is, right? But for me, I've learned a lot of lessons along the way. I've always had faith. It has become stronger as the years goes on. As the years have gone on, one of the reasons, because I lived through a near-death experience, you do tend to think about it a little more seriously that way. But the point is, I truly believe everybody should consider believing in a higher source, whatever that means for them. Again, not my job to get you to believe in my higher source. I'll talk about it with anybody anytime. But I don't think that's my job. I think that's his job. His job is to convert you. My job is to be the example and go, wow, I kind of like the peace that he has in his life. I kind of like the joy that he has in his life. I kind of like, man, maybe I should learn more about that. Yeah, great. Come on in. I learned this lesson very well in Singapore many years ago. It was at the time probably one of the larger audiences I was about to speak in front of. There were probably about 6,000 there. And I was kind of peering through from the backstage, looking at the crowd before I went on. And I went, wow, I could use some extra strength. I should probably have a pre-event prayer. And so I created it on the spot. And so here I am backstage. I create a pre-event prayer and I say it and I get little quiet time, and they announce me, and I come on stage and I said, "Thank you, Singapore. Let's start this off right. Here's my pre-event prayer. Lord, allow the words I share here today to positively impact 100% of the lives in this audience, one way, shape, or form. Only you know who you sent here to hear this message. Allow me to do the best I can to deliver that message, be a vehicle and of service to you." See, that's all I can ever control, is having a high intention and a low attachment. A high intention of imparting something great for each and every one of you here today, a low attachment as to what that means for either you or for me. Are we good? Can we get into it? And everybody went, yeah, right. Well, at the end of that talk, I came down to the, stairs, and there were 4 Muslim women waiting for me. And they said, "Mr. Scott, can we get a picture made with you?" And I said, "Well, sure." I said, "Hear my heart." I said, "I don't purport to understand," and this is, again, many years ago, so I knew even less. "I don't purport to really understand your culture, but I didn't think you did a lot of that." And they said, "We don't. We only take pictures of people or things we want to honor." And I said, well, that's very nice. Why would you want to honor me?" And they said, "Because you made us cry." I said, "Well, that's kind of weird. Why would you want to honor me because I made you cry?" And they said, "Because for the first time in our life, you encouraged us to have faith. You didn't try to convert us. For that, we honor you." And so it left such an impression on my heart and on the entire situation. All I did is treat them with respect, honor, and dignity as a human being, right? If we would simply walk the walk that Jesus has asked us to walk, things would be better. Now, if that's not what you choose to believe, then walk whatever it is your guiding source suggests. Here's the, part of this whole is, if we don't believe in a higher source of whatever you choose to call it, that means you're it. That means you're the highest source. And I know I'm not the highest source. And I'm pretty sure most people know that they're not the highest source. So therefore, it makes sense to believe in a higher source. Again, whatever you choose to call it, I'm fine with. What I have found, when people believe in a higher source, the vast majority of those people are working to better humanity. I think that's a good goal. So again, I think there's a difference. And I actually gave this example from stage one time, and I'll set the foundation. As a sales professional, I don't ever want to sell you anything, but I do always want you to buy a lot from me. Therefore, it's my responsibility to give you the information necessary to make it comfortable for you to buy, for you to take action. That's the way I train sales. I always have, and I always will. And so I was on stage, there were probably 250 people. And I had just shared that, as a sales professional, I don't ever want to sell you anything. I always want you to buy a lot from me. Therefore, it's my responsibility to create an environment for you to buy, to help you want what the offer is. And somebody said, "Well, how's that fit into your faith?" And I said, and I had never done this before, especially from stage, but I had never thought of it or done it. So I just did it. And I said, "Well, that works in your belief in higher source as well." I said, "Let me give you an example. I don't ever want to sell you anything. What happens with certain Christians? Do you believe in Jesus?" That's selling. Nobody likes it. Stop it. Or creating an environment for you to want what I have. Hey, when I was when the pain got so bad in my head, I cried out, God help. I heard an audible, drop to your knees. So I slid out of bed. I had my elbows up on the bed and I started praying. And when I was done, I went to climb back into bed and I didn't climb into bed. I climbed up on a cloud. Zero pain. Total peace. Have never felt it to that level before. Have never felt it to that level since. If you want to talk more about it, I'd love to talk to you. That's creating an environment to buy. In other words, simply talk to people as people with respect, honor, and dignity. And it's absolutely amazing. And so the things that I share, the way I coach, the way I mentor, is to help people be the best them for the best reasons. And that's why it's so much fun, because when you see them get it, you can see the flash in their eyes and you go, wow, that's going to improve their life for the rest of their life. That's awesome. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
That's amazing. I love that. So if someone wants to work with you and get some of this expert guidance, we'll make sure we put the links in the description. But do you have any last words, encouragement, advice, anything like that that you want to share with the viewers?
Well, there's enough junk going on out there today. Don't add to the junk, and don't be a junk collector. I mean, it's, sometimes people say, well, how can I make a difference? I would ask you one simple question. Do you know how to smile? It's always fun to do that in front of an audience, because then I say, gosh, I was wondering, most of you haven't been. But the point is, do you know how to smile? If you do, as soon as you smile, you positively impact two lives, yours and theirs, immediately. Doesn't cost anything. It's top of mind. It's mindset. It's, have some fun. If you're happy, tell your face, smile. It's not that hard. People say, we do podcasts or we do recordings or we do this, or I just watched a recording. You were smiling, or we were on a Zoom call and you were smiling. I go, yeah. And they said, why? Because I wanted to. Because it feels good, because it adds something to the interaction. Okay. I think sometimes people think it takes so much time, energy, and money to make a difference in somebody's life. And in reality, most of the time, it takes very little of any of those things. If you were just, it was so funny. I was at the gym working out yesterday. I'm riding a stationary bike, and I happened to glance up at one of the TVs. And here's a buddy of mine that, we were on the speaking circuit together for 6-7 years. I don't think, and this is back, 2005 to 2011. I don't think I've seen him since probably 2015 face to face. I follow him on Facebook and I follow his posts and things like that. But I don't think, anyway, I'm on this bike yesterday. He's in a dang TV commercial. And I'm like, oh my God. And so I text him and I said, imagine my surprise as I'm getting my workout in, all of a sudden your face shows up on TV. I am so excited for you. That is so cool. He texted me back and he said, yeah, that was a pretty fun project. And he goes, thanks for saying something. I said, dude, that is so cool. I know that stuff that you love to do. I know you're an actor and you would love to be in a movie, but commercials got to be pretty cool. Anyway, it started a banter back and forth. And basically all I said is, congrats on your success. Harvecker, one time we were sitting there and Harvecker said, most people, when somebody makes it and all of a sudden pulls up in a limo, they start grousing about, oh, look at him. He's in a limo. And he said, walk up and congratulate them. They've made it. Why would you grouse about them? Why wouldn't you congratulate them because it's something you can aspire to? Something I've always remembered, right? It's not hard to be good to people. Does it take some thought? Yeah. Does it take some effort? A little. It's not hard. So again, I mean, as far as a final thought, be good to humanity. Be good to the people around you. Be good to your spouses. Be good to your kids. Be good to other people's kids. You know, trade your kids for them. It'll be easier. I'm kidding. That was a joke. No, I mean, I think if we all work towards greater respect, honor, and dignity of each other, respect doesn't mean I have to agree with you or even like you, but I should respect you as a fellow traveler on this planet. Respect is how I treat you. Honor is how I lift you up. When we both do that well, we both experience dignity. If we had more respect, honor, and dignity on the planet, I think it would go a long way. It was interesting. Yesterday morning after working out, I was shaving. I don't know where it came from. All of a sudden I thought, be the change you want to see in the world. Gandhi. I'm shaving. Where would that come up in my awareness? It just did. And I said, you know what's interesting? I haven't heard anybody say that in a long time. And maybe I should create a meme and say it, because it's a great principle. Be the change you want to see in the world. If you want the world to be nicer, be nicer. It starts with you. I mean, the buck stops here. It's right here. Don't expect everybody else to do the stuff ahead of you doing the stuff. You do the stuff and do the stuff that you want. So there, I'll leave it with that. How's that?
Love it. Thank you so much, Scott, for being on the show today.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. It's
you
always
have an
fun.
amazing heart. Love hearing it.
Well, thanks. It's, again, it is, I've been blessed to be around some absolutely amazing people. And when they share their wisdom, it's like, wow, I want to emulate that. There's so many different things that we can follow and do these. Everybody's looking for followers. Why not be a leader? Why not be the person who says, you know what? I know my kids are screaming. I know this is going on, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make this business rock and celebrate my kids at the same time. Pretty cool.
100%. Yeah. It's one of the things that's so funny. I've had so many moms when they watch these shows, they're like, I love that you're doing a podcast with like Bluey on in the background. And sometimes my kids will come and it's like living it, you know what I mean? And I think a lot of them feel so represented because so many people are out there in the Ferrari, in the Mercedes, in the big dream home. And so it's like to see somebody literally just building a business, retiring their husband, doing all of the cool things, but in the same room as their kids.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Yeah.
Well, Jim, it's funny you say that. I saw a Jim Carrey quote this morning. Everybody strives for fame and fortune until they get it and realize it's not that great.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not going to minimize having resources and being able to do things. It takes resources to do things, but achieve those resources for the right reasons and apply them for the right reasons. And all the vast majority of the Lamborghini pictures and the big house, those are rented by the hour.
Yeah, they're all fake anyway.
They're all rented by the hour to create an impression. You create your own impression. be the best you can be. And if I can help in any way, God bless you. Let's do it.
Love that. Well, thank you, Scott.
Thank you.